We're going to talk a little bit about the power of hydrogen-rich water and why I call it hydrogen-rich water. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the science. And then we're going to talk about a few things that came up in the last few weeks that I would like to talk about as far as being a distributor with the Magic.
Awesome. Well, let's rock and roll, Coach. Let's rock and roll. I've already introduced the show before you got in here. We're all good to go. So let's just go ahead and rock it out. I want to hear it. I love hearing what you have to say.
Okay. Well, good morning to you all out there. Hope you guys are going to have a great day so far. I'm sure just seems that here in the Temecula Valley, California area, we've got some cool weather finally, which is what I enjoy. Today, guys, I want to talk a little bit about something that has been coming up. Maybe you have been hearing the same thing. It seems like that a lot of the distributors out there, this is my personal opinion now, so let's get that taken care of right off the bat. It's my personal opinion that a lot of the distributors out there really don't realize what they have. And they really don't realize how powerful hydrogen-rich water really is. Now, I've had some people say, well, you know, you are a distributor for a Magic. You have the Kangen or a Kangen machine, whatever you want to call it. Why don't you call it by that name? And I explained to myself, because science-wise, we are drinking hydrogen-rich water. Now, it's not and a lot of the distributors out there seem to be confused about alkaline and alkalinity and, you know, alkalis, and there's all kinds of wordings coming up out there. But what gives this water that we are drinking, that we're getting it from our Magic electrolysis device, ionizing, however you want to call it, is not the alkalinity of the water. That seems to be a confusion there. There's a lot of distributors talking about the alkalinity of the water gives it the health, what makes it healthy, or the therapeutic water, whatever you want to call it. It's actually a molecule called molecular hydrogen H2. And that's what gives the water the therapeutic ability to help with a lot of different disease models that are actually shown by science. This is not me, or this is not us who talk about molecular H2 or who call it hydrogen-rich water. We are not the ones claiming that the water does help with many disease models. We are using science to back up what we are saying, or we may use our own personal stories, and we're not claiming that it's the water alone. You guys who follow me on my YouTube channel or my Facebook know that I don't talk about just about hydrogen-rich water as helping with many disease models. I talk about the other two protocols, which is primal eating and intermittent and prolonged fasting, which also has scientific case studies backing those up that help with many disease models. And for us, as being seniors, we especially know that all three of the protocols work as a team and help to slow premature aging. We like that one.
Yeah.
But the confusion is that people aren't really understanding the actual structure of our water and how important it is. And that from my opinion, the distributors are getting away from educating their downline, or when they're introducing the water to somebody brand new, they're doing a live demo, and that's great. That's showing the different things, but they're not continually educating them during the sharing process to give the water the value, so that person will make a decision, because the cost of the unit it's expensive. But if you add value to that, it's going to be their thought process will be a little different. And then, of course, they're going to say, well, yeah, my health is very important. Yes, the device is very is expensive. But if you've educated them through that process with different videos or information, scientific videos, not your opinion, not blog posts, but real science, then the value will be there for them to make the decision. And of course, some of them won't because it's too expensive, but a lot of times they come back. But I've noticed, you know, now if I'm not mistaken, JJ, Oshira talks about health first before he talks about wealth, right? Doesn't he always talk about health first?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely, exactly. I think what's happening here, I don't know if you've been noticing this, but I'm noticing a lot of the upline are posting a lot of warnings about us claiming, or people claiming that this water will reverse certain diseases, or talking about it on the phone or on the internet. Have you been seeing a lot of the upline posting this stuff, warning about that?
Yeah, it's been coming out quite a bit as far as, you know, not making health claims. You know, there's been stuff about what we're supposed to call the water and that kind of thing. And, you know, it's kind of interesting, all of the chatter back and forth one way or the other, when really what we should be doing is calling it what you're calling it, hydrogen-rich water, or what the scientists call it, which is electrolyzed reduced water. You know, if you look up ERW on PubMed or Google Scholar, that's where you'll just find buttloads of great scientific stuff, just like what you're talking about. So, yeah, pretty interesting how that's all going about. What are your thoughts on all of that? Obviously, you're getting to that.
You know, you bring up a good point, is that what's happening, and this is what the subject I'm talking about is, even the distributor needs to educate themselves. Now, I understand what the upline is doing, which is right, which is they're basically right. There's a lot of people that are claiming that this water, or the water itself, is reversing the diseases, and not backing it up with science. See, if you look at what I blog on my Drink Nature's Water WordPress blog posts, or my live, or my YouTube, you'll notice that I back up what I say with, it's not me saying it. Science is saying it. It's not me. And the problem, and it looks like, and in my opinion, the distributor is getting away from the actual, what Oshira is trying to teach, is the health aspect of this water. To me, it looks like, it's my opinion only, to me it looks like, and this is where the company can get in trouble, and this is where people really need to be careful, is when they're showing not the health aspect of this water, but the second part of what Ashura talks about is the wealth part. Okay. Well, what's happening is, to me, I'm seeing, and I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, but I'm seeing a lot of people posting stuff on social media on the wealth of being a distributor, you know, showing cars, showing houses, this, you know, showing, you know, explain about the money and all this stuff, how much money you could make. And they've kind of gotten away from the actual, what Oshira is trying to show here. The money, now for me, I always start with the health, but that's my profession. Well, the wealth will follow. And this country is getting worse and worse. We are becoming the sickest country in the world, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And because of the environmental toxins, and the toxins on your food, and the toxins that most of those out there that aren't drinking the water are drinking, and you're not going to get away. You're not going to ever get away from it, ever. And this is what makes hydrogen-rich water my main platform to my health puzzle, because of the environmental toxins that you're not going to ever get away from all the foods, even organic. You know, those of you that may not know this, but I'm post-cancer. And when my wife and I were told what I had, we were shocked because I was supposed to be healthy. So we're not, even healthy people aren't immune to it.
Hey, Coach, can I stop you real quick right there? Because I'd like you to allude to something. Because I run into a lot of people that they, they drink lots of water, they eat organic, they work out like a madman at the gym, and they think that, like, because they do that, that they don't have any worries in the world. They're not going to come down with anything. It's the other guy that's going to have it. And so, for the reason that what you just said there about being post-cancer when you're supposed to be healthy, and the reason you're supposed to be healthy is because you're kind of a gym rat, you're a health rat, you're doing all the things that should, make your body healthy, right? And
Right.
then all of a sudden you get the notice of like, wow, how the heck did that happen? And so I'd really love it if you could kind of expand on that part of things, because you are that very person that I run into all the time that thinks, oh, I don't need that water because I'm already eating organic, I'm already working out, I'm already drinking water, I'm already doing this, that, and the other, right? And so I don't have anything to worry about. What do they really have to worry about, Coach?
Well, they have to worry about what I just said about the environmental toxins and the the toxins or the chemicals that are on the foods and or organic. And so when we found out what I had, we didn't go the Western cancer treatment because we knew that wouldn't work. So that's basically, I had just started on the water. And so then as I started, some issues that I had prior to that were getting better, I was starting to do my investigation on it. And then, making a long story short here, what we found out was because of the environmental toxins, you're consuming those things every single day. And if you don't have a way to detoxify you on a daily basis, and you have trillions of cells, and if you guys, now a lot of you distributors out there talk, you've heard people talk about, or other distributors talk about, Otto Warburg. Well, what he talks about is what his research was mainly on the mitochondria. The dysfunctional mitochondria over time will revert to what? Many diseases like cancer. Okay. Well, so what if you're not drinking water that has the ability to neutralize the most dangerous free radical on this planet, and if you're not drinking the water that is structured in a way that is able to get into those little teeny water channels, and those water channels were only discovered in 2006 by two researchers who actually won a Nobel Prize, who actually discovered them. But if you're not drinking water like that, how are you detoxifying your cells? Researchers and those other higher health gurus out there who are educated know that at the cellular level, the reason why people are getting sick is because of what? Inflammation, right? And the inflammation, is caused by a buildup of toxic contamination or toxic chemicals in your cells over time. And because, cancer or autoimmune or whatever you want to call it, doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. So you're building up all those toxic chemicals in your cells and causing damage to the mitochondria. And when if you really research what Dr. Otto Warburg actually won his Nobel Prize, you will see how important the mitochondria is for everyday life and preventing diseases. But you're also going to see how important the type of water you're drinking to help detox that cell. Now, obviously, when somebody asked me, well, did you just drink the hydrogen-rich water as you were going through your process of healing yourself. And I have to say, no. I says, that was the main, I mean, what's the fast, JJ? If your body is so inflamed and so acidic, and what's the fastest and easiest and simplest way to detox the body, to flush out the inflammation? It's water. But the water has to be structured in a way to be able to do that. It also has to be, you know, molecular hydrogen H2 is known by science as the most powerful antioxidant on the planet. And it's actually more powerful than any antioxidant that you can eat from fruits or, you know, high green tea or so forth. And so that's why we put hydrogen-rich water as our main platform before I even work with anybody, because I got to clean the slate. I gotta clean these cells out, and then we go into the food part of it, which is also known to detoxify the body on a daily basis. And then we go into intermittent and prolonged fasting, which is also another way to detoxify the body and flush out inflammation. So you're going to be starting with the inflammation. Everybody knows inflammation is the root causes of all diseases. We all know that. So let's start with the simple and easiest way, and what is it, and what is essence of life. Let's start with something like water, but make sure it's hydrogen-rich water, because it's structured in a way. It has to go through the electrolysis device in order to get the structure of the water to be able to penetrate those cells at the cellular level. So you put the hydrogen-rich water, get that going first, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, add the primal eating, which is known to flush out inflammation, and then add the intermittent prolonged fasting, which is known to flush out inflammation. Of course, there's a lot of other more benefits, but you have 3 major protocols that's going to change your life. So when we talk about changing your life, when Ashura, when he talks about that, that's what he means. Because the structure of hydrogen-rich water, because of the molecular hydrogen H2, and because science, there's so much science out there that it's incredible, shows that that molecular hydrogen H2, I'm not calling it, I'm calling it as it is. Molecular hydrogen H2 that's in our water does have the ability to reverse many degenerative diseases out there, according to science. This is not me. This is science. So the problem is that in my area, there's people here that have our devices. And we did our investigation when we first got involved in this. My wife dug deep, looking at all the other devices, dug really deep, because of course, we couldn't afford a machine like that, but we had some major medical issues in our family, and we needed to find something to help slow the symptoms down. My son-in-law had MS. That's how we got involved in this in the first place. And so she did her investigation, major. And that's why we came up with Enagic as being the best device out there, because of the longevity. It's been around for so long, and that it's basically and the hydrogen, that H2 that you're able to produce through that machine, as long, this is nothing. You got to keep that device clean. You got to do the maintenance on it. Here in California, we need to clean ours every 2 weeks. That's how bad our water is. The higher concentration of H2 you have in it, the better it is, because the body is being so overwhelmed with environmental toxins that we need the extra boost to help it out. But what the problem is that I've met people here in the valley here that have these devices, that when they come up to me in the gym or wherever I'm at carrying my water bag, they say, "Oh, I have alkaline water. I've got a device that makes that." And I said, "Oh, well, this is alkaline water, but I'm actually drinking hydrogen-rich water." "Well, what's that?" I never heard of that. I said, you have a device? He said, yeah. I go, what's the name of it? And he tells me, well, I have a SD 501. I've had it for 10 years. I go, so you don't know what hydrogen rich water is? He says, no, I've never even heard of that. I says, are you still drinking the water? He says, well, no, it's been sitting for 5 years. I haven't used the machine. I go, but you just told me you drank it. And he says, and then he explains to me how healthy alkaline water is. And I says, well, it's not the alkaline of the water. It's the hydrogen H2 in the water that makes it therapeutic. And that's why you should be drinking it. And he said, oh, I go, did your upline ever educate you? And he said, no. See, that's what I'm running into. A lot of that. I don't know if you've been hearing the same thing, but that's just telling me that what's happening is a lot of the distributors are not educating their the people that they're sharing the water with who buy the machine. They don't continually educate them because there's always new stuff coming out. There's a couple of books out there, PDFs, that Peggy Parker and a couple other doctors. I think there's some, I don't know, different sites that you can go into and buy some Enagic supplies and videos and stuff like that. And I think a couple of them have these PDF books that actually show that all the different ways that you can use molecular hydrogen H2. I mean, that's something you might want to buy for your clients, and or have 4 or 5 or 6 of those. When your client or when your prospect does buy a machine, then give them one. Because that's a good way to educate them, because they can see, because this guy I talked to, he had no idea that 11.5 was used for cleaning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people out there who don't even have a clue the power that they have at their fingertips when they get a Kangen water machine, and they, it kind of drives me nuts, Coach, because I'm tired of hearing the word alkaline water, because, alkaline water is what you find over there in the bottles at the grocery store for $3 a bottle. That's alkaline water. Yeah. Alkaline water is created alkaline by putting chemicals into it. What we're adding to our water is electricity. That's all we're adding. We're adding a lightning bolt. That's why we call it the lightning bolt in a box, because we're literally hitting that thing with 2.5 amps of electricity, and that's a lot of electricity. You talk to any electrician, and they'll let you know that 2.5 amps is a lot of electricity. That is a tremendous amount of power that we're hitting it with, and yeah, the hydrogen is what creates the alkalinity. It's getting alkaline by default because of the fact that it's getting split open, and the hydrogen is so rich in it. Because what does pH stand for?
Potential hydrogen.
Yeah, potential of hydrogen. So the higher the pH, the more hydrogen that's in the water. The lower the pH, the less hydrogen. You can actually take your machine, and I've done this. You can run your high octane water, the 11.5 and the 2.5. You can run those two waters in 2 clear glasses, and you can look at the difference between the two. The 11.5 is going to be all cloudy, and you can see all those bubbles in there. And the 2.5 is perfectly clear. Mm-hmm. There's no bubbles in it because it doesn't have hardly any hydrogen in it. And whatever's in there is all positively charged. And that's why you get this super high positive reading on your ORP meter. When you, like out of my K8, I get like a positive 1200 on my 2.5 water. Mm-hmm. And on my negative side, I get like a negative 950. Because I've got really, really good source water coming into my house. It's loaded with natural minerals. It comes right off the mountain, goes down into a deep well aquifer, doesn't get any chemicals whatsoever. I have no fluoride, no chlorine in my water supply, and it's loaded with natural minerals. And so I just get an absolute crazy ORP on my water, and it's full of the bubbles, and it lights on fire like crazy. I ended up melting my SD501, I melted the little tip on the end of it from showing people when I had it down in Tucson. I actually got I didn't realize that flame was going up through the water, and it actually melted my tip. But yeah, Coach, you're exactly right. The hydrogen is the key. And so, you know what, I'd love to have you expand upon a little bit, because one thing we know for sure that we have a big time problem with in this country is we have a big time obesity problem. We got so many people out there that are, you know, I saw this picture. You might have even been the one who posted it. It was like a picture from the beach in California, like back in the 60s or something. And you look at all these people that are hanging on the beach, and you don't see one fat person on that beach. You don't see anybody. And nowadays, heck, you go down to the beach and everybody, you know, it's like a bunch of beached wells running around on the beach. Excuse me, kids, I'm not trying to be mean, but for crying out loud, we've got a serious overweight obesity problem in this world and in this country, something fierce. And that's what we're here for. That's why we want to come in and talk to Coach Mabry every Friday, is because this is what he specializes in. And I want to have him help share what he does, so you can tune into his protocol, tune into his coaching, utilize what he's doing, you know, hire him, whatever. I mean, whatever needs to be done so that you can get that stuff under control. But so I know that you're big into this ketogenic diet stuff. And I've actually recently been listening to this thing called Healing is Voltage by Dr. Jerry Tennant. And it's so interesting because he gets into the keto when your body goes into ketosis. And so it was really fascinating, because when I heard him talking about that in that particular audio that he does, the first person that came to my mind was you. And I thought, I just would love to hear what Coach has to say about this, and, you know, and how this all works into what you do. How does your special diet that you have, that you work with, that you teach people, how does that work with the Kangen water? You know, why is it all so important? What do you, because I know that you've lost a lot of weight, and so has your wife, Emily, and you've managed to beat cancer. And, you know, so maybe enlighten all the kids today as to what you do and how we're going to, as the Fridays roll by, everybody else's best day of the week. We don't care what day of the week it is, right? But Friday's a great day for most people. So we figure we'll bring them something really super awesome on Fridays. And you know, I'm hoping to be able to expand on this topic every Friday from here until eternity, as long as we can do it. And, you know, keep bringing this awesome value that can help change people's lives. And so how does hydrogen-rich water work into your system? And what do you feel like expanding on with that today?
It's like I said before, the root cause to all diseases is going to be inflammation. That's the root cause. So basically, it's very interesting is that the root cause to inflammation is, one of the major root causes to inflammation is chronic dehydration. I mean, a lot of the public out there is chronically dehydrated and they don't even know it. Well, with obesity, one of the root causes of obesity is what? A very acidic body. Now, you have to relate obesity, there's with type 2 diabetes, because what happens is when you become overweight for a long period of time, you're also potentially putting yourself in a position to be either borderline type 2 diabetes or a type 2 diabetic. And along with being obesity, you have another issue called a fatty liver, which I think you guys have, well, fatty liver is getting so prominent now that you're starting to hear more and more about it, and doctors are starting to talk about it more and more. What's interesting about the hydrogen-rich water that we're drinking, or molecular hydrogen H2, is so powerful that our gut actually will produce molecular hydrogen H2 naturally. Where's most of your immune system? In your gut.
Yeah.
80% of it's there. So our body, if our body produces it naturally, molecular hydrogen H2 is a very powerful antioxidant. That just shows that how hydrogen is so prevalent, is so important for our health. Well, like I said before, again, very simple. When somebody is overweight or even has some kind of disease, inflammation, acidic body, what's the quickest and fastest way to get that body to switch into a higher alkalinity or to be able to flush out inflammation? And that's by what? Drinking water that has molecular hydrogen H2 in it. Now, of course, that's not the only thing that we need to do, because of the environmental toxins is so overwhelming the immune system. And by teaming up the molecular hydrogen H2 with the primal eating, or what you guys know as ketogenic diet, which is also known to help flush out inflammation. So the issue right now basically is to flush out the inflammation. And by doing the 3 protocols that I mentioned, that's how you're doing it. Now, when it comes to a ketogenic diet, that's a whole other subject. So maybe next Friday, I will talk about more on the next process or the next protocol that you team up with the hydrogen. Hydrogen-rich water, guys, the bottom line is always going to be your platform, always going to be the go-to guy, always. Now, do you remember me mentioning to you that I found out some good news about myself?
Yes, I do.
Okay. This is relating to, now it's relating to the full spectrum of the puzzle. But hydrogen-rich water has always been my base. And of course, when we found out that I had cancer, I upped the amount I was drinking every single day. Now, was it the water itself that helped? I don't know. From what I'm researching, yes, it is, but it wasn't the only thing. But, 7 years ago, I had changed my whole lifestyle, my meals, and was doing intermittent fasting without even knowing the benefits from it. And so that was 7 years ago. We just started researching primal eating and intermittent fasting, prolonged fasting, 3 or 4 years ago. Is when we really started getting deep into it because of what I was feeling. And now, come to find out that that's how you're going to be able to keep the cancer dormant. You got USC, incredible research they're posting now, new research about how intermittent and prolonged fasting, or actually prolonged fasting, actually regenerates new stem cells. That's incredible. You have Dr. Seinfeld, Thomas Seinfeld from Boston College, who works with a lot of tumor or brain tumors. Guess what he's found out? He's found out by doing primal eating, it actually shrunk the tumors down to nothing, because cancer can't live off fat. It lives off sugar. Then he introduced the sugar back into their diets, and guess what happened to the tumor? Came back. I mean, that's all over the internet. So you have all that stuff. But what happened to me was 25 years ago, I was diagnosed with a aneurysm in my aorta that goes to my heart. And it was supposedly, they say it was genetics. So my mom has it. And I was told I could never, I couldn't lift anything over my head, 100 pounds over my head. Basically, I had to stop going to the gym. I couldn't do that or this. I had to be careful because the aneurysm was in a place at that time where it couldn't be operated on. So basically, if I put my heart under a lot of stress, or my body, the bulge could pop, then I wouldn't be around. I would never know it. I wouldn't be around. So for 2 weeks, I tried to do what they said, and I thought, you know what, this is ridiculous. That's my life is in the gym. I support my family because of it. Whatever happens, happens, right? Well, here about 3 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, they wanted me to come back every 6 months to check the size of it. I never did. It cost way too much money, too expensive. The insurance, basically we didn't have insurance and it didn't pay for it anyway. So I just said, no way, I just can't do it. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago now, I've been drinking hydrogen-rich water now for 8 or 9 years, and it's actually helped with a lot of my issues, even before I changed my eating habits. So prior to changing my eating habits, I was on this water for quite 3 or 4 years, and that was the only thing I did. And so a lot of my medical issues went away. My son-in-law with MS, just within a few weeks of just starting on the water, his symptoms got less and less. Actually, science shows how molecular hydrogen H2 helps with autoimmune diseases like Parkinson and Alzheimer's or Parkinson's and MS. The science is there. But what happened was 3 or 4 weeks ago, we decided that I should probably go. My kids kind of gave me a hard time. And my mom, of course, when she was diagnosed with it again, they said, you need to go in and get checked. Now, Emily and I have been on the primal eating and intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting for a few years now. So we're doing the hydrogen-rich water, we're doing the primal eating. So we're doing all 3 major protocols that actually is designed to flush out inflammation. Well, we went in, I got my ultrasound of my heart, and about 2 weeks ago, I got a notice from the doctor. Now, this is not supposed to happen, but I got a notice from the doctor that said, hey, there's no aneurysm there at all. Now, what the heck? It's not supposed to happen. But like I said, guys, it's not just the molecular hydrogen H2, or it's not just hydrogen, it's the full spectrum of health. You got to change the whole body because, like I said, the environmental toxins is so bad that your immune system is being overran by the toxin, and it's getting worse every single year. It's getting worse and worse, and that's why here in the United States, we are becoming the sickest and fattest country in the world because of oxidative stress or inflammation or acidic body, and they are not being able to detoxify. You got to detoxify every single day. Now, JJ, do you ever see the demo I did, the live video I did on Dasani? And how Dasani's got a chemical in it that is used to in lethal injections.
Yeah, it's got the potassium chloride in it.
Got potassium chloride. Now, this is the argument. I want you now, after what we all talked about, guys, and I talked about environmental toxins, how if you're not able to detox on a daily basis, I'm going to say it again. The fastest and easiest way to detox that crap out of your cells is with hydrogen-rich water. Bottom line, hydrogen-rich water. But the thing is, the argument I'm getting from people are saying, well, the water bottling company says that there's such a minute amount of potassium chloride, it's not going to affect our ability. Now, okay, wait a minute now. If you're not able to detox yourself daily, and you're drinking Dasani water, and you're supposed to be drinking a gallon and a half a day or a gallon a day, and you're drinking Dasani that has potassium chloride in it, and we know bottled water is not structured in a way to flush out, to be able to flush the cell out on a daily basis. So over time, where is that potassium chloride going? where it's going to be in your tissues, it's going to be in your cells, and it's going to build up over time. Now, there's no scientific research that can prove this, but if you look at the physiology of the body and the cells and toxic chemical buildup and why the country is getting so sick, put the puzzle together. Could it be? Well, who knows? It could be. Why take the chance?
Yeah. My bet is that it is building up because it can't get out. And, that's one of the things. I always thought water was just water. And what I realized is that, yes, water is just water. H2O is just H2O. But Kong's water is not H2O for about 48 hours after it comes out of that lightning bolt in the box. It's not H2O, it's H2 negative OH. And that's why, and then slowly over the next 48 hours to 72 hours, depending on how it's stored, then it just turns back into regular old H2O again. You can actually put a glass of Kangen water out on your countertop, and you can put some pH drops in it, and it'll be nice and dark purple. And if you just let it sit there on your counter for a few days, you just let it sit there for a couple of days, and after a couple of days, it will be blue. It'll be like a light blue. And that means that it's lost all of its hydrogen, it's lost all of its electricity, and it's gone back onto the acid side of the equation. And, you and I both know that acidity is a really big problem. And that's why people, why we can't store. I always tell people all the time, it's not possible to store water and have it be good for you. You can't do it. You can't even store Kangen water and have it be good for you. You have to drink it like now. Get her done. Right?
Well, yeah, that's where people need to understand that the molecular hydrogen H2 that is in the water gives it the therapeutic property to the body. It's not the alkalinity. I mean,
yes.
That's what's going to help to flush out inflammation. I also know that people that have these devices, you ask them, well, how much water are you drinking? If Oshira focuses really a lot about the health part of it. And JJ, as well as I do, if you're going to stand up there in front of a group of people and you're going to talk about health, you darn well better be a product of the product.
Yeah.
And you better be able to answer questions and make sure that, I don't know everything. I have to sometimes say, I'm not good at, that's not my forte, or I don't know the answer, but I will find it out. But you better, you need to educate, the distributors need to if they're going to do this as a business, per se, look at it at the health end of it, because your family and friends need to know about this, because they need a tool to be able to survive in this toxic world. And I'm going to say it again, that you have to start somewhere. And the quickest and fastest way to reverse issues is by changing the type of water you're drinking to a very, very powerful antioxidant that is structured in a way that's able to actually flush out the mitochondria. See, that's going to be a subject we're going to talk about because a lot of these health professionals or these high-powered health professionals, they're only touching they're not giving the people the actual issue. I mean, how important the mitochondria is and how important hydrogen H2 is to the mitochondria. All you got to do is just read what Dr. Otto Warburg did, how important oxygen is.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about that later. But that has a lot to. I mean, that's probably in the top 5, the mitochondria, especially those of you that are looking to lose weight. I mean, you have a dysfunctional mitochondria that's causing the root cause of obesity is imbalanced hormones. You have a hormone that is designed to store fat. Right now, if you're having a tough time losing that belly fat or that hip fat or that butt fat or whatever, and you're exercising every single day and you think you're eating clean, but yet nothing's happening because you're not addressing the root cause to what your issue is, and that's going to be a hormone imbalance, and that's another factor. And of course, one of the ways to help with that right off the bat is always going to be the type of water you're drinking. Change it. It'll help. Then work on the next two. That's a key factor. So.
Well, you know, Coach, I really look forward to these coming Fridays. I'm at the point now where I'm looking so forward to Friday, but not for the reason that most people look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because I get to come on the show with Coach Mabry and share some of his secrets with the world and teach people about some of these things. I'd like. You know, we don't have a lot more time here because we want to try and keep these to about an hour or so. But I'd like you to, because I bet there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to this down the road who you say mitochondria and they don't even know what is he talking about? I don't even know what that is. Could you give everybody a brief explanation of what the heck is the mitochondria?
Okay, real brief and real simple. You have a bunch of these little mitochondria that are in your cells. This is what they are. Real simple. The mitochondria is your power plant. Yeah. That's what it is. It's your generator that gives you the energy. Now, one of the biggest issues when somebody when their energy levels are very, very low, very bad. You know, if you have low, or like when you get tired in the afternoon you're ready to fall asleep, most likely you have a dysfunctional mitochondria because of your lifestyle.
Yeah. Now doesn't the mitochondria run on hydrogen?
It not only on that, but it also runs off of ketones.
Yes.
Ketones. We'll talk about that in another discussion, but that's when you're doing primal eating and when you're doing intermittent prolonged fasting, your liver is developing a what we like to call it rocket fuel, and that rocket fuel is ketones, and that's going to help to elevate or help because a mitochondria is just like your cells. It reproduces, dies off, and new ones. Okay. Well, this is where people get. The American people want a quick fix. They want to see their results by tomorrow or today. They've been overweight for 10, 15, 20 years. They're going to hit this new diet called primal eating because they're seeing so much science on it. And they say, okay, I'm going to do it. Everybody's losing weight on it. And all of a sudden they're frustrated because it's not happening to them as quickly as they want. Well, the biggest issue is the mitochondria is like a cell. It actually has to adapt to the new change over time. And each generation of new mitochondria gets healthier and healthier and healthier and gets fat adapted. We'll talk about fat adapted later. But the mitochondria main focus is your power plant. It produces ATP, which if you're in the gym, ATP recovery is so important because the faster you recover from exercising and can get right back into the gym again to be fully recovered is when you're going to put on more lean muscle. And by putting on more lean muscle, it helps the metabolism stay up and turns you into a fat burning machine.
So, that's interesting you say that, Coach, because, there's a lot of people who I've heard this a lot over all the years is that, I was cursed with a low metabolism. People can actually change their metabolism, can't they? They can speed it up or they can slow it down, right? By, What do you say about that?
Yeah, the metabolism, the way you're going to do that is by your lifestyle. That's how you do it. I mean, it's just, you've got to change the type of water right off the bat, and then you got to change what you're eating in the time you're eating, and give it time. The body has to go through a process, and this is where we got to be careful, because it's a lot of information, but the body goes through a process to where the metabolism actually is going to work for you if you give it the right tools.
Yeah.
Okay.
But ultimately, people can change their metabolism if they want to, correct?
Yeah.
By simply changing their lifestyle, changing what they eat, changing what they drink, changing how they move. I always tell people that we're 75% of the equation. The Kangen water is 75% of the health equation. The other 25% is your diet, your exercise, your environment, and your mindset. Am I correct in that, or do I have something wrong there with the percentages?
So I wish I would have known. Listen, I wish I would have known about this 35 plus years ago, because it would have made my life much easier if I was able to introduce molecular hydrogen-rich water to my clients who were obese and who needed to lose weight because of medical issues, or going in for a certain amount or certain surgery they had to get done. Doctor says, we can't do the surgery because you're too fat. We got to lose some weight first. If I had this water back then, it just escalates the benefits of losing that belly fat or body fat even faster. So that's why I say you put the hydrogen-rich water, team it up with primal eating, that is known by science as being the best way to eat, and then do intermittent and prolonged fasting because of all the other benefits that you will see when doing that. You just escalated your results. If you're looking strictly, and I try to make a mind change here. Look at your health. Don't look at your weight. Look at you're obese, you're overweight, but let's don't look at that. Let's look at the health part of it first. Because guess what? What's the byproduct? You make all those changes. What's the byproduct? You're going to lose the weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But just like I said, the hydrogen-rich water is the ingredient that I was missing years ago to escalate the results much faster. Because when you're on this water, when you're on hydrogen-rich water, like I've been saying all this whole discussion, it's the fastest and easiest way to flush out inflammation. Fastest and easiest way. And so by doing that right off the top, it makes everything else much easier. And of course, I mean, how many times have you heard somebody say, hey, I've lost 10 pounds? Well, the biggest thing is at first they get all excited because they say, oh, I lost 3 or 4 pounds in the first couple of days I drank this water. Well, bottom line is a lot of your weight is from water weight too. So the water is able to you're starting to flush out that water you've been holding.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you will start, as your mitochondria gets healthier and healthier, then your metabolism starts to work better and better. And of course, and that I think it was Michael Canet said years ago that when he doesn't even change somebody's eating plan when he puts them on the water, because the water is going to change it anyway.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much true. That's pretty, because once your mitochondria get cleaned up, your body gets clean, you can go to McDonald's. If you've been going to McDonald's every day and getting whatever, you start drinking the water, that food is not going to be tasting very well.
Right. Yeah. It gets harder to eat and drink a lot of things. Once you start drinking Kangen's water, you start realizing what it does for you. I would like to ask you one other thing, just because there's a couple of things you touched on today that people might not understand. One of them was the mitochondria. And so thank you for explaining that. And I hope for people that are going to listen that helped there. The other thing I'd like you to touch on, if you wouldn't mind real quick, is you said a fatty liver. What does that mean? Does that mean that like your liver is like fat, or that it's surrounded with fat, or what does that mean exactly? I'm even curious because I've heard that. I even heard Dr. Tennant talk about it, and fatty liver. What does that mean?
Well, what it means is exactly what you just said. A fatty liver, how you explained it is everything that is what a fatty liver is. Now, those of you, those of you that follow me on Facebook, about 2 weeks ago, I posted a brand spanking new research with 2019 that was done. Now, when I'm talking about research, guys, remember, I'm not talking about blog posts. I'm talking about actual case studies that are abstracts. That is a true scientific research. And this was a pilot study that was done. And this totally blew my mind, because one of the issues when somebody is overweight, 20 pounds or more, and they're struggling into losing weight, or their coach or their nutritionist says, okay, yeah, I understand primal eating. Guys, remember what I say. I don't like to use the word ketogenic diet. I use primal eating, because that's what it is. It's primal eating. It's what our ancestors did. But anyway, so this coach or this nutritionist is well versed in primal eating and intermittent fasting and so forth. And he's saying, you know what, you got to lose the weight here. But what most of the people that are 20 pounds or over are in some stage of a fatty liver, which means that not only have you built up fat around your organs, you've also built up fat in the liver. The liver's fat, okay? So when they do an ultrasound, and if you're in stage 3 or 4, they'll do an ultrasound, and the doctor will say, well, your liver is enlarged. What makes the liver enlarged is the addition of the fats on the liver, okay? Now, the key the key to become therapeutic now we'll talk about this some other time, but you want to become fat adapted, which means you want your body to primarily use fat as its primary fuel and not sugar, because you're eliminating the carbohydrates you're eating, because that's causing you to be fat. That's causing the root cause of imbalanced hormones is the high carb meals you're eating. What happens is you want to have your liver wants to produce ketones, which is going to which is what your mitochondria wants, and your brain. Your brain loves ketones. It's going to give you a lot more energy. As long as that fatty liver is fat, that's got fat in there, it is not going to produce ketones. So you have to reverse that, and that's by backing off and going on a very low carbohydrate diet that will control the hormone that causes that. Now, this is what blew me away. Brand new science shows that molecular hydrogen H2 can also reverse a fatty liver. That's brand new science. So we knew, I didn't even know this. I had no idea. We know that by changing to a primal eating, science is saying it will reverse a fatty liver. Most of the public out there, they have no idea they have a fatty liver. They have no idea. That's just like a lot of people do not know they have a borderline type 2 diabetes. But you have to heal the liver. It's called a non-alcoholic, what's it called? Emily, what's it called? Non-alcoholic liver? Is that what they call it? I think that's what the doctors call it. Non-alcoholic liver. But anyway, a fatty liver you've got to heal that in order before you can actually start to produce ketones that your body wants to live off of.
So when somebody refers to, when you're told by your doctor that you've got an enlarged liver,
Yeah.
that's basically the same thing as
Fatty liver.
saying that you had a fatty liver.
Yeah.
So like if you were to pull that liver out, and you were, because you like people eat liver and onions, like that's something that I've never been able to stand that. My mom always loved it. But so if I'm getting the picture correct, if someone were eating a fatty liver or an enlarged liver, that liver would like have a bunch of fat on it, and it wouldn't be like a piece of tender meat. It would be like a bunch of fat with some meat inside of it, something like that. Is like kind of a visual for people to grasp this. Is that what?
Yeah, actually, if you go to my, I think I've got a video in my YouTube channel that actually talks about a fatty liver, more of the science of it. And then on that video, in the description section of it, I think I posted my WordPress blog that actually will show pictures of a fatty liver and a normal liver. And on my Facebook page. On my Facebook, I also have some pictures of a normal liver and a fatty liver, and it's pretty disgusting. A fatty liver is pretty disgusting. So you got to have a strong stomach, because that's what it is.
So, hey, Coach, real quick, I know my buddy Rodgar up in Canada, he's jumped in the house with us, and so I'm guessing that maybe he has a question for you or something. But before we get to his question, if he's got one, I wanted to ask you to let it, because your Facebook page is Bill Mabry.
Right.
Bill MABRY.
MABRY. Yeah.
Yes. And so if you guys want to friend up with him, please do. I highly recommend friending up with Coach Bill, because he's solid. He's got all kinds of great stuff. He's always posting out all kinds of great, as I love to call it, awesome sauce. And so friend up with him, but make sure that you let him know why. Let him know that you saw him on the Kong Family Show and you want to friend up with him, or just whatever. Let him know why you sent him a friend request. Don't just send him a friend request. And then your YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel, Coach?
Same thing, Bill Mabry, MABRY.
Okay, I was thinking it might have been like something with water or something. So just YouTube, go to Bill Mabry. Because I got to get friended up with that. I want to see the stuff that you're putting out on your YouTube channel, and I want to, I'm going to start watching some of your stuff at least once a week in preparation for this show, so that we can expand upon things and help people understand what this is all about. Because one of the things we talked about right at the beginning is people just not educated. Well, that's part of the goal of the Kong Family Show for me, is I want to educate people. That's a big part of the reason why I'm so happy, so blessed, and so excited that you're going to come on once a week with us and help us educate, because that's how we're going to change the world, is by educating people. People don't know what they don't know, right? We got to help them know
it. Education is so important, because if you educate the person that you sold the device to, then they'll feel more confident to talk to their friends and neighbors, or they'll understand the changes that they made, and they'll get excited.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? I understand that a lot of people are looking to make extra money and on and on and on. That's great, and this is by the Enagic business is great, because that's a byproduct. You're gonna, because like for us and a lot of people out there that are in the higher levels, we've seen it works. But I just cannot. I personally cannot lead with the business plan. I can't do it. That's just not me. Now, I've been told that's not the right way to do it. You shouldn't do it that way. Well, that's just, I'm not wired that way. My wife and I are into health.
Yeah.
This is what I've said. The United States is getting worse. Type 2 diabetes for young is epidemic, and you said it too. Obesity epidemic. It's an epidemic proportion. It's not getting better at all.
Yeah, interesting, Coach. You know, we got one of the people on the live side, a guy named Shaw. He said he just recently found out that he has a fatty liver. Well, Shaw, you want to pay attention to the Kong Family Show on Fridays, brother, and you definitely need to have your Kong machine. So whoever it is that told you about this, or however you learned about it, if you don't already have it, get it. That's the foundational piece of the puzzle. And then we're going to be bringing to you every week here, every Friday, live at 8:45 Mountain Standard Time. We're going to be coming in hot with Coach Mabry. But, hey, I've got a feeling that my brother Rodgar up there in Canada, he's got a question for you, Coach. Do you have a question, Rodgar?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for meeting you guys.
Hey, Roger, what's happening?
It has been a while since I was on because I got suspended at my regular job and then I had to jump on something else and time over caught. So my question would be where the fatty liver comes from. Like I was on here from the beginning. You might explain it earlier, but I would be curious, what is the factor that you got a fatty liver?
Well, the good news, Roger, is that now with the brand new science, like I said, this is new to me. This is where continual education is very important for my wife and I. And I mean, she is so good at researching that she sends me stuff all the time that I needed to research. So I wouldn't have found this out unless, you know, she does her research. And I got some other people that are involved in different universities that send me stuff too. But anyway, the good news is that the hydrogen-rich water is going to actually help reverse a fatty liver. Now, what's causing the fatty liver is, I call it people that are carboholics, because they are on what happens is when you're on how many of you, you know, the Western diet is built on high carb food, low fat. That's what it's based on. And the high carb foods are what? It's all your starchy foods, your pastas and so forth. And besides that, all the foods are contaminated anyway with hundreds of different toxic chemicals. So that's putting the body in a stress stage also. But what happens is that because you're on a very high carb diet and you're eating a lot of starchy foods, it's causing an imbalance of a hormone that is designed to actually add or store fat. So you're becoming insulin resistant is what they call it. And that's the root cause of type 2 diabetes. But as you're eating there's two energy sources, and I hope I don't go too far with this. There's two energy sources that our body uses to operate. The easiest and simplest one is carbohydrates that's converted to sugar. The other energy source is your fat that's in your body, but it's hard for the body to dip into that fat because your body is going after the easiest one, and that is carbohydrates. Well, what happens is when you become insulin resistant because you're eating so many carbs, then that hormone that is designed to store fat is actually going to be storing fat throughout the body, not only around your organs, but around the liver also. And so your diet is causing you to become, to have a fatty liver. That's what's causing it, because you've lost control of the hormone that's causing you to store fat, and you become insulin resistant because of the high carb. And how do you reverse that? You do primal eating, because doesn't this make sense? If you go on a primal eating lifestyle where you're 70 to 75% dietary fat, 20% pasture raised good protein, and you're 5% or less in carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates you are eating are mainly veggies. And if your body has been operating on glucose as its primary energy for decades, and you have not, because the energy is always there, or the carbohydrate's always there, so the body has not been able to dip into your body fat. You see how the body fat just accumulates over because you're not dipping into it. Okay, let's cut the head off the snake now. Cut the head off the snake. We've lowered the carbohydrates down to a very low. The liver no longer is storing glucose or sugar for energy because it's gone. You're not eating it. And the body has to operate on something, right? So guess what? It jumps into your fat stores and grabs the fat out of there, puts it in the liver, and that's when the liver will start to produce ketones, is what your body wants. But you have to reverse. So, and this is where people say, well, how long does it take to become fat adapted to where my body wants to live off the fat anyway? I go, I don't know, because I don't know what stage your fatty liver is. You got to heal the liver. You got to drop, because see, when you go on the three, now that we have the tool saying that hydrogen-rich water is now able to help reverse a fatty liver, then that's the first thing I would do then. If someone has a fatty liver, hey, drink the water. Start it off. Drink the water first. Then let's work on your eating, because now we know that water helps it. But the root cause, Roger, is going to be you're eating too much carbs. That's the root cause. That's causing your hormone to be out of balance. You cut the head off the snake, that's when things happen. Does that help?
Yeah, that totally explains it. So that's the imbalance of what you're eating. Like if you just feed it with all the carbs, and then that tips over, or what?
Yeah.
And the sad thing is that this is people think that, okay, I'm on a primal eating lifestyle, I'm going to go to a restaurant. Most restaurants will have your keto meals. You can pick them out yourself, and they're thinking, oh, I'll go out to dinner and I'll have this. Well, you guys don't realize that even though you're picking a keto meal at a restaurant, there are tons and tons of hidden carbs in that meal. So if you have a goal and you want to get rid of the fatty liver, you got to give yourself 120 to 180 days of limiting yourself going out for meals. If you're used to going out 3 or 4 times a week, you got to stop it. Take one day a week, one meal, and go out to dinner until you become fat adapted. This is where the longevity of primal eating comes into effect in intermittent fasting. Once you become fat adapted, you have a lot of playing room there, and you can enjoy life more often. But before you do that, you got to reach your goal. You got to get to that point of fat adaptation, and the water, primal eating, and intermittent and prolonged fasting, that will get you to that point.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Man, I love it, Coach. I think next Friday I'd love to get into, maybe start getting in a little bit to what, what this eating is like, because, 15% protein, 80% fat, 5% carbs. That's, I would imagine a lot of people hear that and go, how the hell do I do that? And I do know this, you guys, you want to friend up with Coach Bill. You want to get, if you're not already friended up with him, get friended up with him. Pay attention to the things that he's posting. Make sure that you're commenting or at least loving or liking all of his posts, because that way they'll keep showing up on your page, because he's always posting up really good stuff. I know last week he posted up, or maybe it was earlier this week, a really freaking yummy looking meal that he makes up on a normal basis, and he put the whole recipe in there, so if you're friended up with him, you'll get that stuff. And if you pay attention to his YouTube channel, you're going to get some of that stuff. And that's the thing, is we just don't know what we don't know. And there's only one way we can learn what we don't know, and that's to learn, to plug into something that can educate us. And that's what our goal is here, is we want to educate people. This whole primal eating diet, along with the hydrogen water, is really fascinating to me. and I want to learn it, and I want to help teach others, and I want to spread this magic because, you know, that's what we're here to do. We're here to change the world, and this is how we're going to do it, one little bit at a time, one informative show, and, you know, one glass of water, one machine at a time, and, you know, as everybody knows, what we talk about. So Coach, what do you think about that? Next Friday, we want to jump into a little bit of, you know, getting into the diet a little closer, a little more emphasis on that side of things along with the water. What do you think?
Yeah, we could do that. I can touch on the fatty liver a little bit more, and then touch on how to combat it. And then if somebody out there has a topic they want us to talk about, they can send a message to you, and that will, you know, what topic they would like to hear, as far as all that stuff. So, and like I said, you guys, you know what? I don't know everything, but Emily and I have been involved in the industry for quite a few years, and we're continually educating ourselves because even science changes. Things change over time. Just like the hydrogen-rich water is helping with fatty livers. And so I'm continually posting new stuff that I get. In the last, though, I would say month and a half, I've gotten some pretty exciting new case studies showing how to slow premature aging down and actually reverse aging, which we know that, I mean, science has already told us decades ago that this water, hydrogen-rich water, will help to slow premature aging. But what I like a lot, because of my age and because as much body fat as I lost, is that science is always also telling us that when you do lose that body fat and you have, at our age, and you have the skin sagging, they now have scientific case studies showing that prolonged fasting will actually help tighten the skin at any age. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
that's what I tell people all the time, Coach. I get younger every day. It's go to you.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, look at Shura. Look how young he is. He's been on the water for what, 25 or 30 years. So you combine the water, like I always say, is the platform, but you combine all three of them, how much faster will it happen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we can do it.
I look forward to learning more about this and learning how I can implement it into my life and my wife's life, and you know, so we can continue to get younger and live better, because that's really what it's all about. You know, you were talking about health and versus the wealth thing. What the heck good is wealth if you don't have your health?
Yeah, good
You
point.
know, what did Steve Jobs say about that when he was dying? He was talking about all this money he had and how worthless it was, because ultimately, when it comes right down to it, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. You have nothing. I don't care what you have nothing without your health. And so I'm really happy to hear you talking so blatantly about health and how important it is to you, because it's super important to me too. And I know that, you know, teaching people about health is going to bring the wealth, and just helping people change their lives for the better, that's going to bring the wealth. The wealth's going to come. But I need my health, man. That's the most important aspect of the equation. And so I'm just blessed to be in this position, be part of this incredible company, and to have friends like you, Coach, that I can learn from, that can help me teach others. And, you know, that way we can go about accomplishing our mission of literally changing this world. And so thank you so much. And to everybody out there on the live side, and also people that are going to be listening to this recording, we're going to be coming live with Coach Mabry every Friday, live at 8:45 in the morning. And we'll be on the Kong Family Facebook page. And if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask him, just type them in or let us know beforehand, so that we can get those questions answered. That's what we're here for. We're trying to answer questions so that people can understand how they can get their life back, how they can lose that unwanted fat, how they can get rid of that fatty liver. And so, Coach, once again, this week has been such another blessing. Really appreciate you taking your time to come in here and share your knowledge and your wisdom with the family. And this is getting recorded. I'll get the recording up onto Facebook a little bit later today. And just love you so much, Coach. Give your wife a big hug for me. I can't wait to get a chance to actually meet you guys in person. And but in the meantime, I'm looking forward to meeting with you once a week and sharing some value with the family and making a difference. And so, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Looking forward to catching up during the week on all the things that you're doing, and I look forward to getting into some primal eating next Friday, and talking about how Kangen water can tie into it all, and how it's the most important part of the equation. And I know there's doctors out there that they won't even, like Dr. Shinya, Dr. Barry Ah, Dr. Donaldson. They won't even work with you if you won't drink the water.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you don't want to drink this water, go somewhere else. And that's pretty cool stuff. That says a lot to me. So.
Well, you guys have a blessed day, and we'll see you next Friday. And I'm sure I'll be talking back and forth with you, JJ, during the week. So.
Sounds great, brother. I love you, man. Have a great weekend. Rodgard, thanks for being here today, buddy.
Have a good day. Have a good week, Roger.
Thanks. The same to you. That's nice to meet you guys. And I will make it happen that I will be on here Fridays.
Okay. Have a great.
Love you guys. Get your arms in your hoodies. Get out there. Change the world. Starting with your own. All right, brother. Love you, man. Have a great one. Give that sweetie of yours a big hug for me.
We'll do that, man.
All right, buddy. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.